Hello, I'm Lee Munsell. Welcome to my home. And the gallery is upstairs, and I'll be taking you up there in a bit. But I wanted to show you around some pictures that my wife has allowed me to hang in our house. Lori is her name. And this is the old veteran cypress. My title I gave it is "In Quietness and Trust Shall Be Your Strength." And the story behind it is I was at a little show in Concordia University, and there was a photographer there that had a shot of this. Excuse me. So I said, I want to print that so I can paint it. He said, no, you can't have that because there's copyright, right? So I said, okay. And he said, you have to go find it yourself. So eventually we went up the coast. This is in Point Lobos near Carmel. And this is before digital photography. I took a whole slew of pictures of it, pasted them all together and painted from that. So and that tree now, it's lost this limb, recently, in the last couple of years. So this is kind of historical. Okay, so I want to show you some more stuff. This picture is of Mendocino headlands in the morning. It was a real cold morning there, and I was out with my jacket on, and just the light was real pretty on the water and the shadows. So this is a recent commission to friends of the family that live up in Bellingham, Washington. And this is her mother's backyard of her house up in Vancouver Island. And they commissioned me to do this picture. She sent me a bunch of photos, and I had to paste them together and go on Google and look at the place and to put it all together. And then I got done, and she said, oh, there's a rock over here I really like, and a couple other things. So I put some wood, she wanted some logs, because the logs come in and out in the tides. So that's a commission. Then this picture is at Point Lobos, and it's titled At Land's End. And the day was real cold up there, but the sun came out, and the surf was coming through, and as the waves were coming through, you could hear the cobbles underneath the water just rattling around underneath, and it was kind of really cool, just kind of very dramatic. Took a lot of time with that one. And this is a bristlecone pine. Lori and I went up to the White Mountains up off of 395, and I've always wanted to go to the bristlecone pine forest. And these trees are about 4,000 or 5,000 years old. There's one tree in the forest that they know is at least 5,000 years. It's called the Methuselah tree. Then they won't tell you where it is. But this was just a favorite scene. So I wanted to paint that. And then if we come around this way, this is at Julia Pfeiffer Burns State Park in Big Sur. And you may have seen a photo of the waterfall that's there, McQuay Falls. And this is up above McQuay Falls, looking north up towards Monterey area. So I just liked the way the light was hitting everything, and I put in the surf to go with it. So, okay, and then this is our kitchen. Signs by Danielle, my photographer today. And by the way, Danielle is an awesome photographer. And what's your website, hon?
We'll link it down below.
Okay. This is at Point Lobos. It's called Lifting My Hands. I just felt like it was something, just lift your hands in awe. of his creation. There's just scenes like that all over the place in Point Lobos if you ever get a chance to go. And these two pictures are, this one's a 17-mile drive up along the road that runs through there, and that tree just was kind of overcome by the winds that come in from the Pacific. And then that picture is just one that I put together from different things. The tree was a sketch that I saw an artist had done, and the cloud and the mist, and I call it waiting. So then we'll go in the hallway here. I got a couple pictures. This is a Mendocino Headlands, and it was actually a real overcast day, but I decided to add some color to it. And it's and I did another picture of it, larger picture that is in a show up in the Monterey Bay. Plein Air Painters Association is having at Pacific Grove Art Center. So if you guys, it's going until October 30th. And then this is a succulent plant that Lori has out in the backyard, and I call it Backyard Inspirations. And the sun was just hitting that and the flowers, and so I decided to give it a shot. And that is in Laguna. Plein Air Painters is having a show right now. It's called Less is More, and it's one of the on the dailybrushwork.com site. And these two are just pictures of rocky places in Laguna Beach. Just drive down there and walk around, and there you are. And then this next picture has got a little story behind it. Danielle, my photographer today, was living in North Carolina with her family. We would go back in the fall and visit, and she took us up this highway going towards the Blue Ridge Parkway and stopped here, and I was like, whoa, I'm blown away. This place is awesome. And I just said, I gotta paint this. So it took a while to do this one. I think it's on the West Fork or North Fork of the Pigeon River. So this one is Rocky Point, the Rocky Creek Arch up in Big Sur. And the Horsey is a special project, a gallery that I'm in Depot Bay, Oregon. Tally Woodmark's gallery, the Silver Heron Gallery. She lost her son some years ago, and she had a bunch of these grocery store ponies. They used to be a ride that people would put a quarter in, and their kid would ride on it. And she's given them to several artists and going to do a auction of them for the. She has a house for people to come to stay if they've lost a loved one, and just for a time of healing. So that's for her Wade Woodmark Foundation. So I got to get it back up to her sometime here soon. Yeah, we're gonna go down the hallway here. This is, I call this your treasure. Where your heart is, there's your treasure. and the status flowers were just going crazy there, and it just seemed like a treasure. And this is up in Mendocino Headlands again, another spot. I just happened to catch this in the morning. The sun came up over the hills and just was highlighting those cypress trees, and I had to paint that one. And this is another Point Lobos. It's called the Watchman, and it's part of the North Shore Trail in Point Lobos. And just the rocks are piled up like that, and it's and that's Big Dome Point, so it's another view of the Big Dome Point in Point Lobos. And we got another Point Lobos here. This is that's Big Sur in the background, and this one particular tree, they remind me, the Monterey cypress remind me of the bonsai trees. They just have that feel to them. I call this reaching for you. It's just like it's reaching out. And the original was sold in 2012 when I was at the Laguna Festival of the Arts in Laguna Beach. This is a print of Lifting My Hands. And that's a print of picture downstairs from the 17-mile drive. And this is, I saw a sketch by Percy Gray that I just kind of liked it. It was a pencil sketch he did, and so I wanted to turn it into a painting, and I call it Cypress on the Rocks. And there's a print of the Rocky Creek Arch. And in this little picture, one of our trips back to North Carolina to visit our daughters and their families and grandkids. We were staying in a house that was up in the hills, not far from them. And I got up early one morning, and the sun hadn't come up all the way yet. And the sky was just getting glowing, and the mist was in the mountains, and obviously it was in the fall. No leaves on the trees. So come with me, and we'll go into the studio. Oh, we got just two more pictures. So this is another shot of Point Lobos along the Cypress Cove Trail, and I call it time and eternity. So the distance is like eternity, and then this is showing the effects of time. The trees are they grow on those granite rocks, and somehow they survive, and by the fog that comes in and the winds that blow the spray, and they somehow survive on that. And this is up in Mendocino, and I think that's the little river that comes down into the cove there. And I did it as a commission for a friend, and he used to go snorkeling out in that bay. Okay, to the studio now. Just want to take a minute just to thank you for coming to visit and see my work. So I want to show you a historic piece here first. This is the first oil painting I did when I was about 9 years old. And it was from a Arizona highway cover. And I just kind of liked the lightning and the way the sun was shining through in the clouds. So wanted to do that. And then here's one I just got started. You can see it on the monitor there. We were recently up there delivering pictures to the Monterey Bay Plein Air show. And I've been to this spot several times. It's on the 17-mile drive at Pescadero Point. And there's the ghost tree is there at Pescadero Point too, but I didn't paint that. So that's a really great spot. So I was there painting and I did a couple of pictures that I've still got to work on. And this is just before everything got shut down. We were up at Pacific Grove and I delivered a picture to another show back in March. It was on March 13th, I think we were there. And the 16th is when everything hit, you know, so. And that day was kind of rainy and I got out and was able to take some pictures. And this tree just spoke to me of the enduring winds and you know, the pressure on the tree, and it just, they grow whichever way the wind is blowing and pushing them. And I call it bent by time and the westerlies. So, and this is called Passage, and it's from a quote by Jesus. He said, "If you believe in me, you will pass from death to life." And that it's a passage of the old tree is there, and a new tree has sprouted from the old. This is Bandon Beach up in Oregon, and I call it watching because up on this peak is a seagull up there. He's looking out over the water, probably maybe for his last meal for the day. This is called My Time Is in Your Hands. It's actually a tree root, was a tree that was down at Carmel Beach, right off Ocean Drive, and just kind of an abstract thing that I thought would be kind of cool to paint. This is from Laguna, some rocks at Laguna Beach. And this is at Pacific Grove. I took a class from Scott Hamill and with a group of painters, and he painted, did a demonstration, and then we set up at different locations where we liked, and then we would start painting. He would come around and gave me some pointers. He helped me, show me about putting highlights on the rocks and really giving some energy there. So that was kind of cool. And then those two are from Point Lobos. This is China Beach. And there's a trail up above, and you look down at the water, you can see right down to the sand underneath. It's really a cool spot. And now the seals go up and sit up, you know, lay down on the beach up there. And then this is Big Dome Point again. That's, I call that my father's world. And then up above it is Ruby Beach up in the Olympic Peninsula. and I call that There Is a Way. And then over down below that is through the Three Graces, which is on Tillamook Bay. You probably heard of Tillamook cheese. And that, been by that 3 or 4 times and done some different pictures of that. And then one next to it is called Awakening. Percy Gray, not Percy Gray, Guy Rose did a picture of that spot, and I kind of borrowed that and made my own interpretation of it. And then down below over here is Bluefish Cove in Point Lobos. The water is amazingly, the emerald colors there. And the one right next to it is a painting I did for Lori way back when we were first married. And then this is from a photo that Dr. Don James, who's a dentist He's passed away now, but he was a surf photographer back in the 50s and 60s, back in the heyday of redwood surfboards, and they would just go straight off and stuff like that. It was, you know, it has some amazing photography. And he shot at this. If the surf ever came up and he had dental appointments, he would cancel all his appointments and fly to Hawaii and take pictures of Waimea Bay and the pipeline and stuff like that. So he let me have a slide, and I did the picture from that slide. So these are some pictures from Oregon. This is Hug Point up in Oregon, and the story that I read about this is before the Coast Highway was put in, and they would travel up the coast by dirt road basically. At this point they had to go around, because the forest was so thick they couldn't get through there. They had to go around the point and wait for the low tide to get around the point. So this is one of the state parks that's south of Cannon Beach, where Lewis and Clark stopped up there in Oregon on their trip, their 2-year journey. And this is Ruby Beach up in the Olympic Peninsula. Another shot from the same one that other one's from. And that is from Cape Argo in Oregon. This is a print that I'm going to be taking up to the gallery in Depot Bay. Lots of stuff there. So then we have some studies that I've done outdoors. This is from Casper's Park. It's a fallen sycamore tree. And there's a little hidden bunny in it. Let's see if you can see it. Did you guess? Okay, it's right there. Can't see it real good. Some from Laguna Beach, again, China Beach and Point Lobos. This is Inspiration Point in Corona del Mar. This is a big surf day down in La Jolla. This is in Laguna. This is Pacific Grove. That's the actual picture that I did with Scott Hamill. And then that is a shot of some caves up in Cape Flattery, the Olympic Peninsula, which is the most western point in the lower U.S. states, Cape Flattery. So then there's a few here. I'll show you. This is a print of one that I did. Secret Cove in Carmel Highlands, and I can't tell you where it is because it's secret. And this is a spot in Oregon around from the Devil's Punch Bowl near Newport, Oregon. That's not the Punch Bowl, but I just like that spot. And then this is from a friend took a movie of this heavy surf in Carmel, and some of the waves were probably upwards of 10 feet or so. It was, and the light just came out and highlighted the water, and the reflection was off on things. And then this was also that same weekend. That's in Pacific Grove. And then this is down in Laguna at Recreation Point. You go down all these stairs, and this is a view you get of these rocks, and I call that incoming tide. And then this I call in the beginning. And Lori and I were celebrating an anniversary at the Cliff Restaurant, and we had a window seat, and we were looking out at this scene. And so I took a bunch of pictures and painted it. I left the palm trees off because I think it evokes kind of the beginning of the planet. And, you know, so. And then that other little one right here is looking at Point Lobos from Carmel Beach. And I don't have a title for it. And I didn't talk about this one. This is Bandon Beach and a sunset that I combined the beach rocks and a sunset photo that I had. And I've got a print of it that's down there. So you can get prints on my website. And if you want a good discount, find the print on my website. It's www.cypresscovecreations.com, and email me, lee@cypresscovecreations.com, and then we'll work out so that I can give you a better discount than getting it directly from the website. Thank you for visiting, and I hope this was informative. If you've seen something you like, shoot me an email and we'll talk. Okay, good day.